Okay, welcome everyone. Welcome to Being Present with Leonard, week 5. This is an ongoing series, and if you're just tuning in to week 5 or even week 4, I do suggest you go back and watch the earlier sessions because I'm trying to make it fairly comprehensive and sequential, the whole unfolding of this teaching. As you know, or many of you would know by now, there are 2 steps to this teaching on awakening. And the first step is learning the art of being present. That's remarkably simple and easy. That's the easy part. The second step involves arising in mastery of the mind and ego. And there are 4 aspects to the second step, which I've already described in previous videos. So very briefly, those 4 aspects are the resistance of the ego, who have you become, the liberation of repressed feelings, liberating repressed feelings, and bringing to awareness all the ways you lose yourself in other people. The final point might be bringing to conscious awareness all the judgments you have of yourself and others. So that's a general, very fast, very brief overview of the 2 steps of this teaching. Because this teaching is all about being present, we're going to do just a 30-second, very quick tune-up into presence. So everyone close your eyes right now and know that you can be instantly present. You're just present with your body breathing. That's all. You're present with your body as it breathes in and as it breathes out. And you are the one who is present, aware of the body breathing in this moment and in this moment. If a thought comes in, that's not a problem. You just notice it, say thinking, then back to the body breathing. You don't reject the thought, you don't believe the thought. You're kind of neutral to the thought. Stay with the body as it breathes in, as it breathes out. It can even begin to feel like your whole body is like a living, breathing organism. Breathing in, breathing out, not just into your chest or your belly, but your whole body is actually a living, breathing organism. So in today's, you can open your eyes now if you like, but just be present. Be present with me. Be present with anything that is in the present moment with you. If you're present with something that's here in the present moment with you, you will come out of the mind because the mind is past future. Now you're present. Thoughts will stop without you even trying to stop them because thoughts are always of the past or future. But now you're tuning in to that which is of the present moment. So thoughts will stop without you trying to stop them. Now you're relaxing into presence and you can become more and more finely attuned to presence as you settle more deeply, more fundamentally into the present moment. And then you cross over a point on this vertical axis of presence. You become so deeply present that time disappears. Above this point, you're still present, but time is available to you. You're not lost in time. You're not lost in the past and future. You're not lost in thoughts. You're not lost in the dream, but the past and future are available to you at this more superficial level of presence. But time, the past and future simply disappear as you go beyond this point and deepen even more into presence. So now I'm going to share with you the second aspect of step 2. I put it under the general heading of who have you become, but I want to explain that a little bit. I want to elaborate on that for you. I'm going to begin by saying there are 2 questions, and they are very closely related to each other. The first question is this: in truth, which means when you're present, in truth, who are you? This is a very important question. Who am I in truth? Who am I when I'm truly and deeply present? And the answer is very, very simple. And I've mentioned this in earlier episodes. But who you are when you're present is you are quite literally the energy of love. You are love. Just like a candle gives off a glow of light, when you're present, you give off a glow of love because that's who you are. How can you not give off a glow of love when you are the very love I'm speaking of? You are also the energy of acceptance. There's just no judgment. You accept the moment as it is. It's so peaceful and relaxed to enter into that level of acceptance, no judgment. You don't need anything to change. You're present in the present moment as it is, accepting the present moment as it is. The third quality of presence is compassion. It's impossible not to be compassionate when you're present. You are also empowered from a much deeper level within yourself. You're awake in true power. Most of us are lost in false power, but now you're awake in true power. It has no relationship to anyone else. It's that life force that arises from the center of your being and literally animates you. It brings you to life, and it allows you to express yourself fully and authentically moment to moment with no restriction, no limitations. You are just whoever you are moment to moment. If you want to speak, you speak. If you're silent, you're silent. Your mind is silent, but there's a much deeper level of silence awake in you. So you're empowered from within. You also exist in the realization of oneness. Now, these are key elements of who you are when you're present. These are all the qualities of presence, which also happen to be the qualities of God. But given that God is within you, how can you not also open into those same qualities as you become more and more deeply present and open into oneness? So that's the first question. And it's okay that I just tell you that. This is who you are, whether you like it or not. You are love, you are acceptance, you are compassion. You're empowered from within, and there's no judgment within you, and you exist in the realization of oneness. That's about it, folks. But now we come to the second question. I've just shared with you the truth of who you are, but now the second question is, who have you become? Living for so many lifetimes, lost in a dream, living in a world where no one is present, doing your best to survive or even hopefully thrive within the dream, living in a world where no one is present. Who have you become? So let's explore that question. But before we do, I want to tell you why I'm sharing this with you. I'm actually sharing with you one of the most fundamental laws of awakening. I call it one of God's laws, a law of awakening. There's no way you can get around this one. So here's the law. I'm going to state the law, and then we'll examine the second question. So the law is simply this. God's law is simply this. If you deny, judge, reject who you've become on this long journey through time and separation over many, many lifetimes, if you deny who you've become, you will be denied the truth of who you are. That's simple. And I've just shared with you the truth of who you are. On the other hand, this is still the law. On the other hand, if you're willing to go through a process of owning, acknowledging, confessing, revealing every aspect of who you've become at that within the dream, within the past and future world of the mind, that mind that never stops thinking. If you can own, acknowledge, confess, and reveal with love, acceptance, and compassion that comes from the present, if you can do all of that, then it will open the door to the truth of who you are. In other words, who you have become is the doorway to the truth of who you are. But we're all so habituated to trying to fix who we've become, trying to change who we've become, trying to improve who we've become, which is all a form of judgment. If you want to fix who you've become, that's a judgment of who you've become. And I can promise you, if you judge who you've become, then that will reinforce and keep you locked into who you've become. It will keep the door to the truth of who you are closed. I hope this is very clear. So as a part of the awakening process, first, presence. But then we go through a process. Our day-to-day life is like a mirror. Our relationships are like a mirror, reflecting to you who you've become. Now, most of us don't want to look into the mirror. We want to hide who we've come, we want to project who we've become. And all we do is disconnect from the truth of who we are. And then we pursue some false idea or image of ourselves that we want other people to think this. It just keeps us separate from the truth. It keeps us separate from love, truth, oneness, and God. So let's look a little more closely at that question, who have you become? Let's look at what that entails. First of all, you've become someone with an ego, a very strong and powerful ego. But you've also become someone whose mind has been programmed with all the limiting beliefs from childhood. Very, very quickly. I'm all alone. There's no one here for me. I'm abandoned. I'm not safe. Then we go to the next level of limiting beliefs. I'm not loved. I'm not accepted. I'm not worthy. I'm not good enough. I don't count. It's not okay to know what I want. It's not okay to ask for what I want. I have to put up with what I don't want. And so it goes on and on. These are a part of who you've become. They must be brought to consciousness with love, acceptance, and compassion. Don't judge these limiting beliefs. Don't reject them. Just own, acknowledge, confess, reveal. Wow, I just noticed, God, I just noticed I'm not good enough arising. Thank you. And then come back to presence. Wow, I just noticed I was looking for love. Deep down, I don't feel loved. So I'm looking for love. God, thank you. I noticed it. I'm on it. I got it. It's kind of playful. It's almost like being Sherlock Holmes, revealing every little aspect of who you've become as it shows up moment to moment. It's not analytical. It's looking into the mirror moment to moment. What is your life telling you right now about who you've become? Have you become judgmental, controlling, a victim, looking for someone looking for love, trying to prove how good you are, fearful, afraid of dying, afraid of opening, afraid of love? Who have you become? Now, this all has to be confessed in the most gentle manner with love, acceptance, and compassion. Also included in that question, who have you become, are all the feelings you have repressed within you from the past. And so we've got to allow ourselves to become more and more aware of these repressed feelings, allow them to surface into conscious and responsible expression. And that will add to our sense of who we've become. We're not trying to fix anything. We're not trying to change anything. We're just revealing. Jesus said, all that is hidden shall be revealed. In the context of this teaching, this is exactly what he meant. Whatever is still unconscious within you, within the darkness of your unconscious mind, let it all come into consciousness, into the light of consciousness that is your own being, that is your own presence, all being revealed before the awakened you. Wow, look who I've become, and look at who I really am. They're so different. You might be full of judgment. In presence, there's no judgment. You might be caught in hatred or resentment. None of that exists in presence because there's no duality in presence. It's just love without hate, joy without pain, life without death, oneness without separation. I could go on and on and on. No duality. God without whatever the opposite of God is in the dream, Satan, whatever you want to call it. None of that exists there. So the final thing to explore about who you've become is how you lose yourself in others. I've covered this in past episodes, so I'm not going to go into it again. One thing I will say, if you want to understand or go deeper with what I'm sharing with you, I'm going to show you something. I guess you could call it a promotion, but it's actually in service to you. This is one of the books I've written quite a while ago, but this book, Journey into Now, contains within it very comprehensive outline of the whole teaching. Step 1, step 2, the soul's journey. There's so much in here, including the story of my own awakenings. So if you're really into this teaching, I would recommend you get this book. And if you do buy this book, you can only buy it through Amazon. It would be wonderful if you could leave a rating and a comment, though I would rather it was positive. but I guess that's up to you. Anyway, enough commercials for now. I do have more commercials before the end of the session, but I'll put that down now. Okay, so, this is very exciting. I'm finding that I'm really enjoying these live streams. I wasn't sure whether I would, because I can't see you. I like seeing people, I like seeing their responses. So please be sure to post your comments. I love to hear your comments and read your comments. So don't forget to do that. And also don't forget to hit subscribe and the notification bell, and also like and post a comment. Okay, my apologies for all of that, but I guess that's what I'm supposed to be doing. Anyway, I have 2 questions, or possibly 3, that I'm going to answer that were sent to me. Apparently, the best way to send a question to me is through the website, through our website, leonardjacobson.com. So here's the question. I'm going to read the first question from Walt. It's a little bit long and rather complicated, so you all better be pretty present while I read it. Otherwise, you're not going to know what it's all about. But it's a good question. It's a very deep question, and it's a question that I would enjoy clarifying. So from Walt, if there is only one God, in brackets, oneness or unity, then speaking of a you or an ego in the same breath is an oxymoron. Instead of only God or oneness, we now have more than one, which is duality. How is one to understand this seeming conflict as a teaching? He goes on to say, if the teaching is being presented in a form of duality where thought arises in a context of duality, then it is a variation of current religious teaching, still a dualistic teaching. I think Walt is accusing me of sharing a dualistic teaching. My goodness. Okay, he goes on to say, teachers such as Robert Adams specifically pointed out that ego is a manifestation of duality and thus, in essence, does not exist from the point of view of oneness or non-duality. Leonard, how are we to understand your teaching in view of the above comments? Clarification is welcomed. Okay, Walt, I think you deserve a response from me with this rather complex question. Let's not get too hung up on concepts, particularly non-dual concepts. For non-dual aspirants, those seeking on a non-dual path, a lot of them are seeking nothingness, but they don't even know what it is. You can't know nothingness with the mind. You can't know oneness with the mind. You can't have an understanding or a concept of oneness with the mind. It's the same with God. Whatever you think of God within the mind is delusional. But when you're perfectly, beautifully, deeply present, open in the oneness, full of gratitude and love and generosity, then God just might open up for you in all of God's great glory. You might experience God's presence in all things present. That's for me what God is, the silent presence at the very heart of all things present. Now, there are 2 dimensions of our existence, Walt, and there's nothing wrong with attending to the dual nature of our existence, because that's where we're all lost. Of course, I have to speak about the mind, the dream, the ego. That's all a part of the world that we're all lost in, which I call the world of the mind, the dream, the story. And of course, I have to address that. How do you come out of that dual world into the present moment? How is that accomplished? And I've shared that in episodes 1, 2, and 3. You just bring yourself very present with something that is here in the moment with you, which will lead you to become very, very deeply immersed in presence, in oneness. Now, let me be very, very clear. There are different laws, different principles, different approaches that apply to the dream and coming out of the dream, bringing conscious awareness to the dream. What is the dream I'm lost in? Who am I in the dream? How do I take myself into the dream? What do I need to let go of in the dream? What am I still looking for in the dream? How do I keep myself in the dream? All of these questions have to be addressed because the whole of humanity is hopelessly lost within the mind, imprisoned within the mind, and there's a very powerful prison warden that is keeping you in that prison that is the world of the mind, the past and future. And that powerful prison warden is your own ego. We better learn how to be with the ego so that we can become a master of the mind and ego. Yes, the mind and ego are going to remain, not all the time. And I shall explain what I mean by that. Now, this is the world of duality. Now, here's our problem with the world of duality. And I'm going to make this very clear. Listen up, Walt. There is nothing wrong with the world of the mind. There is nothing wrong with thinking. There is nothing wrong with duality, except for a few things. Let me point out what's wrong, what's happened to us. Number one, we can't stop thinking. We're addicted to thinking. And so the thoughts just keep coming, and we find ourselves imprisoned in that world of separation, that dream, that story that is unfolding in the world of time. We're imprisoned there because the thoughts never stop. All thought is of the past or future. So if those thoughts never stop, you're always going to be in the past and future, disconnected from the present moment, disconnected from the truth of who you are. So we have to accommodate that world of duality and attend to it. So the thoughts never stop. Also, we're habituated to living in this dream world, the world of the mind, the past and future. We've been living in this world. We're so habituated to it. We've been living in this world of illusion and separation for thousands of years, lifetime after lifetime. We have to attend to it, recognize it, acknowledge it, and identify what is the problem. The first problem is the ego. That's very deeply committed to and very skilled at keeping you in the dream and out of presence. But the second one is very important, Walt. We humans do not know how to live in balance within the world of duality. We're completely out of balance. And that's because of judgment. I want happy, I don't want sad. That's judgment and rejection of sad. I want joy, I don't want pain. I want life, I don't want death. I want creation, I don't want destruction. I want light. That's a lot of light workers will fall into this trap. I want light, I don't want the dark. Now you just threw yourself out of balance. All these light workers just threw themselves out of balance because they're not equally open to the light and the dark. You see, when you come into balance within duality, happy is good, sad is good. Joy is good, pain is good. Everything is equal in the world of duality. Then everything will come into balance within duality. Hot and cold, long and short, joy and pain, happy, sad, life, death. As you transcend judgment and you start to come into balance within duality, you come to the center within duality, which then opens the door to oneness. Now, there's an entirely different law that applies as you become present. Walt, when you are deeply present, or when you're deeply present, your mind is silent. There are no thoughts. And without thought, there's no story, there's no dream, there's no past, there's no future. The world of the mind is not there when you're deeply present because your mind is silent. You're one with everything that is here. So you're now in the oneness, and without the past and future, without thought to create the past and future, without thought to create time, there's no possibility of the ego being present. But as you become present, deeply present, where does that dream go? I'll tell you where it goes. It goes on hold like a telephone goes on hold. And it's waiting for your return. Now, you can return and the dream remains as it's always been, or you can return and as you become more and more present, as you bring the dream to greater consciousness, as you recognize the existence of the ego and how to overcome its resistance, as you reveal the dream, who you are in the dream, how you get caught in the dream, what keeps you in the dream, as you bring all this to consciousness, you are rising in mastery of the mind and ego. And that is what is essential for true awakening. Not just awaken presence, but a master of your own mind and ego. Now, let me tell you what would happen if what you say is true, that in presence there is no thought, no past, no future, never any of that. Well, you certainly can't function in the world of time. There's nothing left of you as a separate individual. You have become immersed, irretrievably almost, totally, into isness, into the moment of now. And I can tell you, and I am speaking from my own direct experience, I've been in this state for months at a time. There is no possibility of having a conversation with me because I don't exist as a separate individual. There's no possibility of anything from my past or future entering. I'm so immersed in this moment of now. But that moment of now at this level of presence is like sitting on the top of the tallest mountain on planet Earth. It's so far above and distinct from life as we normally know it. Life as we normally know it has disappeared. Now, I can tell you, if that happens to you, Walt, if you're open to that level and you don't want any interest in the mind or duality, no problem, you better get on a plane to India. Find a nice cave somewhere, a begging bowl, and sit and be present. But I'll guarantee you it won't last long. Your mind will come in and say, what the hell are we doing here? This is boring. So then you have to know how to deal with those thoughts and come back to presence. So in a way, Walt, your question is very valid and legitimate, but I can accommodate both dimensions of who you are and who I am. There's the world of the mind, the dream, the story, the world of time, and then there's you transcendent of that, me transcendent of that, fully immersed in isness and oneness, one with God, one with all that is. There's nothing more you can say about it. You can't understand it. Very hard to talk to anybody about it. But this is it at the very deepest level. This is what Buddha knew, and this is what Jesus knew. Full and total immersion. But times have changed a bit since then. Well, we're not riding around on donkeys. We're not walking down to the river for our bucket of water. Life has become much more complex. So the ultimate outcome for humanity is to open into this beautiful, deep, awakened presence and learn how to live life in the world of time from grounded in that awakened presence, fundamentally present, even as we play in the world of time. But as we're playing in the world of time, we're not in the dream. The dream is from the past and future. The world of time is now, or maybe a few moments from now. Be careful not to confuse yourself with spiritual concepts, ideas, opinions. It's really not a good idea to hold any belief or opinion firmly at all. Hold them with open hands, ready to surrender them into the vast unknown. Now you're in the unknown. And that's where you'll find yourself with awakening. So I'm wanting to keep this meeting, this episode, shorter than I usually do. I have no idea what time it is now or how long I've been speaking. Let me have a look. Oh, not too bad. Almost 30 minutes. There is another question here, so gosh, shall I answer it or not? Okay, this is from Leona in the UK, and I'll answer this rather quickly and briefly. Hi, Leonard. I want to thank you for sharing so generously. Well, you're welcome, Leona. Are thoughts created to distract us from the truth of no self? That's not really why they were created. Very briefly, thoughts, there's nothing wrong with thoughts. They just enable us to remember the past or imagine the future. Nobody said we should get lost in thought. Nobody said that we should start believing in the past and future as truth. Nobody said we should disconnect from thinking, from presence, because we can't stop thinking. So, no, we created the thoughts ourselves. The thoughts are there, available for us to make use of. Not only that, what is the mind really? The mind is nothing more than an instrument of expression. I speak and express from the center of my being, from presence, but the words, in a way, are partnering with me in bringing the words forth. Otherwise, I wouldn't know what to say. So the mind is kind of an instrument that allows me to express what I'm saying right now in this moment. Thank you, mind. It doesn't mean I have to keep thinking. If I want to think about what I'd like to have for dinner tonight, that's okay. I think about it. I go to the supermarket, buy what I need, and then I come back. I don't have to keep thinking about it. There's nothing wrong with that. The problem is when the thoughts don't stop, they just keep coming and coming, mostly at an unconscious level. We're not even aware of what we're thinking. The whole of humanity is addicted to thinking and habituated to living within the dream. That's the problem. So if it's appropriate, what I say to people is, if it's appropriate at any time during your day to think, then think. When you're finished thinking, return to presence. But at least your thinking is intentional and conscious. You know what you're thinking about. And when you finish thinking, just come back to presence. Presence has to become your true home, the home you return to even after you think. You can think for a while, you can be busy at work, but you never forget where the truth is. So then Leonard goes on to ask, what is the personality? Is it the ego or an aspect of the ego? Are the ego and the mind one and the same? Well, it's going to take me a little while to answer, but I'll say it very briefly. When I'm deeply, deeply present in the oneness, in the isness, I'm in the impersonal. It's the impersonal dimension of who I am, the I am that I am. Pure silence, pure consciousness, infinite love, no limit. This is the impersonal dimension of me, but there's also no expression. It's like my consciousness is like a vast, 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 still and silent ocean, not one wave. Perfectly still, eternal, infinite. That's your consciousness. At the deepest level, that's my consciousness. That's also God. So that's impersonal. Now, the moment I want to express, and express in the world, express to others, write something down, whatever it is, now it's the personal expressing the impersonal, but the personal dimension of me, which is expressing, now I'm an individual expressing the oneness, that which is impersonal. In a way, the personal expressing the impersonal. That's not a problem because the personal is in perfect alignment and harmony with the impersonal. So whatever I say is coming from that impersonal dimension of me. And it doesn't always have to be deep and profound. It's just whatever comes up in the moment. I'm speaking from presence. I'm not thinking about the past or future. That has no part in what I'm expressing in this moment. So now here's an issue. Here's a problem. What has happened to all of us is this is our authentic selves, the impersonal and the personal expression of the impersonal. But what happens if the personal dimension of you, that which is expressing yourself in the world, is shifted away from alignment with the impersonal, awakened dimension of you, and now it's moved over further and further out of balance within duality, out of balance. Now it's sitting right next to the ego. And the ego thinks it's you, you think you're the ego. There's no separation. Now you become the ego and you have become all blurred and merged and mixed up. Very hard to free yourself once that's happened. You're going to need someone like me to break you apart and bring you all the way back to the center and then to presence. So that's what's happened to all of us. So with awakening, the personal is slow. As you become more and more present, as you bring the dream to consciousness, all the ways you're caught in the dream, then what happens is the person, here's the ego, here's the personal, and slowly, there's a greater space opening up between the personal dimension of you, which is now coming back into alignment with the impersonal. Now, when there's no expression, then there's no personal. There's certainly no ego here at this level. But now you're in alignment. Now when you speak, it's as if you're in perfect alignment with God, truth, oneness, and the awakened state of presence. So that's that. Now, are the ego and the mind one and the same? The answer to that, Leona, no. The answer is no. The ego is the ego. It's like an energy, a sub-personality within the mind. It exists within the mind. The mind is the field of consciousness in which the whole dream plays out, where the ego exists and dominates and rules and runs the show. It's all occurring within this field of consciousness, which I actually call the field of dreams. It's within the mind, the past and future world of the mind, the story, the dream, that the dream itself is unfolding year after year. And we're all identified with all of that rather than and disconnected from the truth of who we are. And I can assure you, everything changes as you open into the truth of who you are. And even the dream starts to get dramatically better and easier because you're becoming more and more present. And all those qualities of presence are flowing into your life. Okay, folks, I hope that wasn't too long for you or too confusing. I certainly hope not. So I send you all blessings and love. And remember, who you are really is love. So find your way into love in your day-to-day life. It's who you are. Act lovingly. Be loving because you are love. Be kind. Be caring. Be generous. Be abundant. Be grateful. These are the qualities that will open you to God. These are the qualities that God responds to, I can assure you. Okay, all right, well, we're going to end it there. Don't forget to submit your questions. Hit subscribe, hit the notification button, post a comment if you'd like to. And I look forward to seeing you next week for episode 6. I'm not sure how many episodes there will be, so make the most of this opportunity. Okay, everyone. Bye-bye.